Myers once again. This is another edition of the Farm All Files. I've got Carl Overmyer here with me. He's the president of Chapter 33. We're going to learn a little bit about him today. So Carl, would you like to maybe tell us a little bit about your family, your father, those kind of things, how you got started in farming and that?
Sure. My dad and granddad was farmers, and they started out at Monterey, Indiana, which is 5 or 6 miles west of here, and Dad moved up here in 1950. I was 5 at the time, and we stayed, and I ended up buying the home place after Dad passed, but I've been farming all my life and with my brother, and so yeah, Dad got us started farming early on, and my granddad and my uncle, Dad's brother, was big in IH, and so I guess that's kind of how I leaned towards more of the IH, and Dad kind of ended up with Alice Chalmers, and which there's nothing wrong with that either, and so, but that's what he...
What was your father's name?
My father's name was Harry John Overmyer, and he drove a livestock truck, hauled the community livestock to several sale barns around when there was one at every corner of the counties, and
sure,
and
that was a different world.
It was, yep. So he, everybody had a cow or a pig or something, and there was one that hauled someplace, and he went through several livestock trucks, and Mom done most of the milking. We milked when we was at home, and boy, come Saturday, we always got the job of cleaning the gutter out, throwing the manure in the spreader, and hauling it out to the field, and then going to the woods and cutting wood for the week. So, yep, we farmed.
There's a lot of people today that don't understand how much work just went into living.
Yep, it
at
did.
That point in time. If you didn't have enough wood, you got cold, right?
Exactly, yep.
If you didn't grow enough potatoes, you went without?
Yeah, yeah. We grew a lot of vegetables. Mom did a lot of canning stuff,
Sure.
and so.
Sure.
Yep.
That's one of the reasons we do what we do. We try to preserve the ways of the past so that the future might. You got married to Renee, correct?
Yeah, I got married in 1974 to Renee Pickens, which her dad worked in Logansport at a machine shop and owned several acres, and he still owns that. Her dad's still alive today, and he had his 96th birthday last month.
Is that right? 96.
So, yeah. So he's still with us, and yeah, I dated her for 8 years because she was going to college, and her dad was paying for her education, so I didn't want to have to marry her and take on a debt for. I wanted to farm instead of paying for a college education. So
don't make me edit something out here. Now we want to.
She knows that for a fact.
Knows
yeah,
that. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
she knows that for a fact.
Okay.
I had to drive clear to Lexington, Kentucky to date her. She was going down there. She ended up graduating and was a registered dietitian. She worked in hospitals and nursing homes around here for a few years until our family come along, and so we ended up with 2 sons and 2 daughters. My oldest son is a farmer, and he farms with a neighbor across the river over here at Lighters, and he's got a hay business and sells hay year-round. And then my oldest daughter, she lives in Fishers down there close to Indianapolis. She's a lawyer, and
wow,
she's working for an agency in Kokomo. And my other daughter is in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and she's a school teacher. And oh, by the way, the one in Fishers got a daughter, my granddaughter, and we're expecting a grandson in March. So we're all excited about getting the second grandson, because my oldest son had the only grandson we got, Dawson, and he's got a sister named Mia. And then the daughter in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania has got 3 daughters, and he's a computer guru and a programmer. And then Ben, he's at home and he farms with my brother and I and my nephew. And Ben does a lot of tractor restorations and stuff. He had some trouble with a shop and lost the roof off of it a year or so ago, and he just was able to purchase a property right beside him. It's got like a 50 by 80 building onto it that he's going to get going back again full-fledged and doing the tractors and stuff. He's been doing small stuff all along, but the tractors kind of got put by the wayside, so he's getting excited about doing that.
Now that youngest son, your grandson is the one that you've worked with to do some 4-H projects.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Awesome.
Like that,
Yep.
Feed grinder.
Yep, he done a feed grinder and a carry all this year for the back of a international. Excuse me. We got a 400 sitting out here in the lot right now that we're going to bring in here in a little bit, and he's going to restore that for next year's American Heritage project. Got the tires and stuff in here for it, and got to tear it apart and put a new torque and stuff into it. So, and this is his dad's tractor that was a neighbor years ago that he acquired. So it's kind of a in the county tractor that we've going to keep around and stuff. So,
okay.
But
now speaking out in the shop, now did you have a little trouble in the shop here a year or so ago, or what happened?
Yeah, in 2012, there's a picture back here on the wall what the place used to look like, and I had a tractor on August the 12th, 2012. We was mowing the irrigation lanes out here, and I was bringing up a fertilizer tank to put in this storage shed out here, and I had should have said a John Deere in there, but it was a 460 International gas, and we'd had that on the auger and run some corn out, and we drove it in the shed, and I went in there to start it, and when I turned the key on, it exploded. And come to find out, that carburetor had leaked. It was probably 25 gallon of gas out on the ground, and it lit up that whole shed. Lost a couple 4-wheel drive tractors and some antique tractors and a barge wagon and 2 semis and 3 trailers, and quite a devastating mess.
Wow.
And had several tires in there for duals for the tractors, and the big tractor we burned up had triples onto it. So we had people calling us from North Manchester and Plymouth, and boy, I don't know how far south, but they seen the smoke. We had smoke really flying. I stuck around for probably half an hour, and then they showed up, and I flew to Fort Wayne with a helicopter, and they took me to the burn unit up there because I got quite a few burns on my arm and the side of my face and my shoulder and stuff. So anyway, that was my experience with fire, which if you got a leaky carburetor, get it fixed. Just don't mess with it.
Just share a couple of memories from over the years in Chapter 33, something that just might, off the top of your head, fun times, anything at all, just whatever you want.
I guess the beginning of 33 was kind of the interesting thing that I thought. This when we got word the chapter. Well, we didn't know what chapter it was. I belonged to Chapter 7 for 6 years. I had joined them several years ago. Ben and my daughter Hannah both got scholarships from Chapter 7, and then they was going to form a club in northern Indiana, and I thought, well, that's kind of neat. It'll be a little closer. I didn't have to drive as far south as Tipton or something to attend meetings and stuff. So we went to Jerry Smoker's house up there, and we formed a group and went to the IH collectors and asked to form a chapter, and that's how we ended up getting together. And so that was kind of an interesting time. I don't know, there was probably 75 of us that started the chapter out as charter members and stuff. So, and then I guess the Red Powder Roundup in 2010 was kind of a neat thing we did, and enjoyed that. And then we went to the national. We asked to do the winter convention, and so that's when I was president. Jerry was president during the roundup, and I was president during the winter convention, and that was easy enough to get the first one, so they encouraged us to take the second year on. So that's the first time I'd ever been done, and so we was real pleased. The second year went a lot easier than the first year, but yeah, that was a fun time with 33, and then I enjoy the get-togethers we got, and the Red Bower reviews, and wherever we end up at, why, whether it be at Napanee, LaGrange, or wherever, why, or Winnemac, and it's been fun doing that.
Yeah. I know I've enjoyed getting to know a lot of the guys. Been very accepting. I can't say enough good things about all the leadership of Chapter 33. Yeah, it's a good bunch of guys. You served a couple, 3 terms as president.
Yeah, we elect to reorganize every year, and it's, well, I didn't exactly remember what year Jerry stepped down and I stepped in, but I've been in there 5-6 years as president, so I enjoy that role, and encourage a lot of people to get involved if they would. It'd be fun to have.
I gotta say that I really appreciate your leadership. So we're here also to see about these pedal tractors here, as you got everybody can see in the background.
I guess where I need to start is that where I thought I'd started collecting the pedal tractors. There was a couple tractors that was laying in a dump down by Winnemac, and the salesman for the Alice dealer at Winnemac owned the property, and there was an Oliver 880 and a Alice Chalmers C laying in that dump down there.
Are those the 2 up there?
Those are the 2 up there.
Okay, well, I'll get some shots of them. Go ahead.
And
keep talking.
so anyway, I asked him if he'd sell them to me, and he says, well, you can have them if you can get them out of the dump. And I says, well, what's the problem? He says, you got to watch my dog. And he says, he'll bite you. So I'd done some thinking, and I thought, well, I can surely outsmart that dog. So I went to town and bought a couple loaves of bread there in Winnemac, and I went up through his circle driveway, and I started scattering that bread out through the driveway, and the dump was down the road about, 25, 30 rod down there. And so he was busy chewing on the bread, and I was able to go down in there and get the tractor out, and the Alice come out in one piece, but the Oliver was broken in half. And so I brought all the pieces home, and I put them up in a garage at home, and I don't know, it was in the mid 70s, or I guess it was later 70s. I got married in 74, and so in the late 70s I decided I was going to start restoring them, and so I hired a guy to restore those 2 tractors for me. And in the meantime,
So it's been that long?
Mm-hmm.
No kidding.
So in the meantime, I remembered our pedal tractor, the one that my brother and I used to ride, that come from the Thomas Hardware at Grass Creek. And it was laying in Dad's scrap pile. And so this 50 John Deere back here, the small tractor, is the one my brother and I rode when we was little back in the 50s.
The first one, the nicely painted one there.
The one right beside the umbrella.
Okay.
That little 50 there.
Okay.
And so that's where I salvaged that and had him do 3 for me. And so a guy up at Culver's, the one that done them, a Ron Miller. And so then after that, I just started seeing one I liked, and I'd buy it, or see another I like, and I'd go to the Farm Progress show, and there'd be one there from Max Armstrong and Orion Samuelson, and I got signed tractors over there from them. Okay. And then the older one there in the corner, my son was down at Purdue, and he happened to go into a pawn shop, and he seen it in the pawn shop, and so he ended up buying that for me for Christmas one year. And so that's how I come by that old one. And Then a lot of these, like I got several 4-wheel drives, and I got my oldest son. He's one that likes to collect tractors too, and he thinks I needed the bigger 4-wheel drive, so all my 4-wheel drives come from my older son for Christmas presents. So I got my
You know, that's a nice thing. Because sometimes it's hard to buy presents.
It is, yeah.
So now you made it easier on your kids.
I did. So, of course, I got my oldest son's tractor up here, this John Deere that's faded. And then Ben's, my youngest son, is down the other end, is the 7030 down there that's in the rough, in the middle down there.
Okay.
And then on the back side over here, I got the pink tractor, and the one beside it is my grandsons and my granddaughters. There, the pink one's hers, and the red one was my Dawson's tractor. So.
How old's Dawson now?
17.
Okay.
So when he got tired of riding it, well, I had to put a new front end under it because he rode it off the porch and broke the front axle out of it. But Mia got hers into the wall someplace and took the pink paint off the front of it. So.
Did that come painted pink? Or did you
Yeah,
buy
no, it was pink. That was the first pink tractor I bought. So I've got a couple others. In fact, there's a pink one in Pennsylvania, and there's a couple red ones out there, and then there's a pink one in Fisher's down there. And I suppose now I got this new grandson coming, I'll have to get him a red one.
There you go.
So
It ties everyone together.
yeah.
Common thread in the family.
Yeah.
Well, looking around, I gotta say that you probably the majority are red ones, but you're definitely not colorblind. I gotta give you that.
Well, I like to go to all kinds of tractor shows. I mean, anybody that does a good job of restoring, or even if he don't do a good job of restoring, I just like seeing old machinery and stuff. And but like I said, every tractor's got a story onto it. And one of these New Hollands up here was on a sale that the Rochester radio station was having, and I was going out of state, and I was losing contact with the radio station, so I called my wife and I told her to bid on it, and she ended up getting it for me. So my wife bought me one. And
about that bale loader back there in the corner, where'd you get that? Is that something you came up with? Or?
No, that's another story. I just got that in about a month and a half ago. Our tractor club down at Rochester, we feature a different tractor each year. This bale that we had Alice Chalmers last year, and this bale loader was a thing that we got out of a book, and it was a raffle item. And that was a money maker for the club.
Okay.
And so a toy vendor ended up winning that thing. And the toy vendor knew that I was interested in it. I bought several tickets on that thing, and so we ended up trading a couple tractors, and I ended up with.
So we're finishing up here. Carl, I want to thank you for sharing your story with everyone. Also want to thank you for your service to our country.
Well, thank you. I'm glad I could work with you. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, if it wasn't for men like you that chose to answer the call to defend the freedoms that we have, we wouldn't have the great country that we have. So
Exactly. Yeah.
I appreciate everything you've done and served different boards, FFA, the 4-H, REMC, all the things you've done to help your community. Thank you very much.